Hey guys, we're back with another episode in our hiring and retaining DJ staff series. This is on things to look for in the first interview, and if you have a second interview part of your process, your hiring process, what that looks like. So again, joining me today, I've got Chris Romero with Cutmaster Music out of Albuquerque, New Mexico, and Chris.
Yes,
let's talk through this. I mean, you kind of alluded to some of this on our last episode of what you're looking for, but I guess this would be more or less like at the conclusion of the interview, what pushes you over the edge to, well, not over the edge, but pushes them towards you and joining your company? What are you evaluating? What's the final last pieces that you're looking for?
Yeah, so I think once I kind of go through, and analyze their answers to the questions, those first interview questions, make sure that it's they for the most part hit where we want them to be on the scale of our core values. I think that's really what says, all right, you know what, this guy, this girl seems like they would be a great match. Let's bring them out into the field a little bit. And that's kind of, for us, really the second interview. So we do what we call the internship period. And they have to give us 5 events. We actually pay them. It's minimum wage. But now, after talking with you, I'm rethinking this. I might make this an unpaid. And really, at this point, I want to see how hungry they are, how motivated they are, what is their work ethic like, do they mesh with us and our crew out in the field? Because we like to have a good time and, we'll joke around and things like that, but we also get down to business and we're serious and we're very, we've got an order of operations and the way that we want to do things and get things done. So how do they also interact out in the field with other vendors and other people? So you know how it is. You might get someone in the office and they're telling you every single thing that you want to hear. And it's like, oh my gosh, it's a godsend from heaven, right? Right. And then you get out into the real world and all of a sudden they're like a different person. Right. So before I put too much time, money, effort, and investment into somebody, into training and going into that next step, I just want to get a basic feel of what do they like in a private event type of situation.
Let me ask you this. Do you tell them at the conclusion of the interview that they've been hired? Do you sleep on it? Do you wait until the next day? How does that work for you?
No, I don't. So usually what I'll tell them is even if they are our last interviewee, I'll tell them, we've got a few other guys that we have to interview. I will be in touch with you within the next week. And so I kind of want to let them simmer on it. I want to simmer, and really I want to simmer on it too. I have been bit in the butt a few times by making impulse decisions. And in the past, I would get so amped on somebody and what they were telling me in the office that I would hire them right in the spot. I'm like, you're in. Right. Let me show you around the place. Here's the keys to my house. I mean, I did some crazy stuff, and then just for them to be one event and done, or just finished with us in 1 or 2 months and just not make it right.
Totally.
So,
yeah,
I've learned over the years.
Slow it down.
Out.
Right? Totally.
Slow down, turbo.
Yeah. So things that we look for in this interview is, beyond just if they're hitting the marks in those questions, I'm looking for body language. Are they interested? Do they even look the part? How they dress to the interview is another piece. If they're coming in shorts and just not really taking this seriously, we don't. I never had anybody ask what I should wear to the interview, so it's very much just how would they think that somebody in our company would dress? Right. Also looking for, before the interview starts, I'm a huge stickler on time. So if they are not
that's
early,
a big one for me.
Right. So if they're not showing up on time, I'm like, nope. I know one planning firm. Actually, she's a design firm, and if they are even a minute late, she just doesn't even answer the phone. She's like, they'll figure it out that they're not a fit here. She's that hardcore about it. Even if they check all the boxes ahead of time. So on time's important. And then I also, similarly to you, when we're done, we do not tell them that they have been hired. We actually sleep on it for a day. And even if if Sean tells me like this person's a great fit, like I know this person's great, we don't even really need to have a second interview, we'll still do a second interview. And that just lets them know that, hey, and I think it may be different because of the fact that you are more of a one-man shop, and I luckily have somebody on staff that can, you know, almost pre-screen these people.
Right.
So it gives me the chance to feel like they're not a number, like, or them to get a chance to feel like they're not a number, because I'm invested. Even though I'm in New York and he's hiring for our Florida office, like I still want to be involved in that process, so that way they feel like they're not just processed through the system, if you will, and just, you know, employee number 482 or whatever. And we're pretty small anyways, but through the interview process, anything that Sean feels like in those core values that needs to be probed a little further, that's what he's looking for in that first interview for me to kind of to tag on. And even if they check all the boxes, there's still always going to be something like, I think this guy's a fit, but maybe this one area might be something to look into. So we've never found a person that we're like, yep, checks all the boxes, let's hire him tomorrow. We haven't ran into that situation. Although we have been, like you, hyped on somebody once before, and like we knew this guy was going to be perfect. But usually those are the guys that you have to end up worrying about the most, because it's almost too good to be true kind of syndrome.
Too good to be true. Absolutely.
Right? Like we had this guy who, you know, wore a suit. Like I was like, God, this guy dresses better than me. Like this guy's a fashionista, said all the right things. But like I'm looking at his resume and I'm like, he's left all these different spots. Like something's not adding up. And sure enough, he was just a slick salesman on the interview process. And who knows how many jobs he got that way. You know what I mean?
Right.
So speaking to the second interview, I kind of mentioned a little bit of how we do that. Again, I'm kind of probing that. We have a third one, which is similar to your second, which is we do send them out in the field and to just observe. And we do make it unpaid. This is just, again, kind of hitting on the hunger aspect, all those three core values that we talked about earlier, working well with others, how do they communicate with the team, like all the things you just said, basically, we are doing as well. And the thing is I purposely don't tell them what time they need to leave. I say, hey, you can leave anytime. We don't say that we tell them when the event ends. It goes till 10, but if you want to leave earlier, fine, but we'd love to have you stay. And now the invitation's out there to see if they follow through with that, if they're helping us tear down. We usually don't send them out with myself. It'll probably be one of our other 4 or 5 DJs that we have on staff, because I want to get their opinions too. So almost it acts as a third, one more buffer. The biggest thing I can tell people is, if I had a piece of advice, is go through as much of the prerequisites and double check before you sign anybody on the dotted line. Because like you said, you're spending a lot of money and time. And before you go to all that trouble, you just want to double check. It's almost worth going through the headache of interviewing twice as many people as you'll bring on just to make sure you get the right people than bring on somebody you're like, I don't know. I'm taking a roll of the dice just to hope they get there, you know?
Yep, and that's that's really the mode I am in right now. Is really trying to find. I think it's so much better on the long term to find guys that are the right fit, as opposed to just being a DJ farm, right? Where you're just bringing in guys right and left. And then I think just other vendors and coordinators and people out there have more trust in your company as well. That you've got these guys that they're pretty much vetted. So I think. Right. If somebody comes from Cutmaster Music here in Albuquerque, they've got automatic just cred, right? When they walk into the building, they're wearing this logo on their shirt, and they know that they're a Cutmaster guy, but they've also seen them for a while. So it's not like these coordinators for the first time are just seeing a brand new DJ from Cutmaster Music. They've been at events, they've been shadowing, they've been observing, they've been light techs for us. They've been with us probably for a minimum of a year before they go out and are actually a lead DJ for our crew. That's awesome. Well, once again, you're leading us into our next topic and the next episode, which is going to be our training overview. Perfect. So we'll get into kind of what that looks like in the next interview, guys. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you on the next one.